All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today on this Tuesday for our sixth entry in the Classroom Management Mastery series. This is in some ways, a continuation of the first session we actually had. The first session that we had was back in February, and it focused on Civitas Inspire for faculty and some techniques associated with that and using that. And Dr. Alan Belcher joined us and talked about some of his research and some of the efficient ways that we saw, nudging being effective in this platform. But we're really, really excited to bring you here today because we have some very, very, very exciting news, an unveiling of sorts in regards to tools to help us make our students more successful, which is always something really, really exciting. So I'm really, really excited to get started today. I did want to remind folks that this is a part of the Classroom Management Mastery series that we're holding throughout 2020, focusing on a variety of subjects throughout the classroom. And for those faculty members who do attend at least 9 out of the 11 sessions we have planned throughout the year, we will be awarding a badge to those folks who attend and then also record their participation and a takeaway that they were able to take from that. You can see the follow-up form was actually just posted in the chat for this session. So please do follow up and record your participation. And we are looking forward to seeing many, many people complete that at the end of the year. We have lots of folks already that are well on their way. We're over halfway, so excited about that. We do have a couple upcoming events we wanted to mention quickly before we get started as well. July 29th, upcoming tomorrow, we actually have the virtual career fair. So if you haven't posted an announcement to your students already, please do so to let them know that this opportunity is going to be coming up. Really looking forward to that. August 3rd through 5th, we'll have the AU Early Childhood Education Virtual Conference. I know it's not the first, I can't remember which year it is. It's maybe the third or fourth year that they've done that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the sessions for that this year as well. Be sure to check that out that week. August 5th, we have the Get Centered, Creating Just-in-Time Nudges to Rocket Your Students' Success. I think that is actually the perfect tag team to this session that we're going to be doing today that will accompany exactly what the spirit of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk a lot about the how and the functionality, and I think that session will be a good one of, how to craft those nudges and be most successful in that. I'm looking forward to that one as well. And then August 21st as well, we have the Center for Women's Leadership, a panel discussion on wellness strategies for navigating stress during uncertain times. Very, very timely as well. So looking forward to all those events. So, without further ado, I think the most exciting thing that we're going to talk about today is this product called Signalz, which you received an email probably last week introducing this new product that's going to be coming out, that's going to be in our classrooms very, very soon here. And this is kind of our unveiling to you. We sent out an infographic, a little bit of a teaser last week, just to give folks a little bit of a heads up, but we're really, really excited today to give you a little bit of a peek of what exactly this tool is going to look like, some of the functionality. We'll walk you through that. And then we're lucky enough to have Dan Tamianow here as well today, who is one of our pilots in this group who has been using the Signalz tool and is going to talk through some of the strategies that he uses, when using interventions with the students, and also how he's going to be working on transitioning from Civitas Inspire for faculty to this new Signalz tool that we're going to be using. So I don't want to, in any way, shape, or form, downplay all of the success that we had using Civitas Inspire for faculty. But the Signalz tool is essentially going to be taking the place in as far as it is going to be a student predictor for success, and also a mass communication tool that we'll be able to utilize as faculty members. So, but I in no way, shape, or form would ever want anybody to feel bad about the last couple of years that we've had with Civitas Inspire for faculty. It's been a fantastic tool. You all have utilized it so well. We've seen over 750,000 outreaches in just a little over 2 years, which some of those numbers still boggle my mind about how our faculty have been using this and how many students they've reached out to and how many students they've helped with a tool like this. So we're super happy about that. And at the same time, it really was a catalyst, I think, in a lot of ways for shifting our way of thinking to becoming more of a proactive faculty member, not waiting until something happens, having something in our pocket that we can use to catch students early when something comes up. So we've really kind of introduced this culture and really had some great conversations about what an effective nudge looks like, and I think a lot of faculty members have done a great job of getting a sense of how those interventions fit in with their classes. So there's been so much great progress made. Even though we're not going to be continuing with this particular product, all of these efforts were very, very useful and will be a great transition as we go to Signalz. Inspire for Faculty also introduced us, it kind of broke down the walls and some barriers in regards to communicating with advisors as well. Faculty members did not have a good way before Civitas Inspire for Faculty to communicate with advisors or loop an advisor in when a student really needed help. And we were able to have some great communication, just opened up between advisors and faculty using that. And we'll be able to see that continued with our use of Signalz. So we're very excited to be able to see that as well. Inspire for Faculty also gave us, a lot of access to some unique student information that we didn't have as much access to before, which is partially why, we're looking to mimic a lot of that access and some of the student demographic things in Signalz that we had access to in Civitas Inspire for Faculty. And so with Inspire for Faculty, we were also able to get a very, very high adoption rate for our faculty. Roughly half of faculty send messages through it, and then over half of faculty actually access it and use the data in some way, shape, or form to, inform the decisions that they make about how they're reaching out to students. So we've already seen so much success with it, and we're really planning on this being, a very smooth transition, honestly, over to Signalz from Inspire for Faculty. One, because faculty know how to use it, and we already are in the mindset of using it. So we're really, really excited to show you some of the cool things about Signalz today. Just to kind of give, a big picture timeline of what we were looking at with Civitas Inspire for Faculty, it was back in, it seems like yesterday, but it was back in June of, I want to say 2018, that we implemented Civitas Inspire for Faculty in classrooms. And at the same time, actually, we were using another Civitas product for our advisors, who were using it as another student success predictor tool and an outreach tool as well. So they realized after a little while, that the data they were getting out of Civitas just wasn't as customized to Ashford students as they wanted on the advisor side. And they actually moved away from that tool and kind of created their own data model, which actually laid a lot of the groundwork for Signalz. So we were very, very fortunate that a lot of that groundwork was already laid in that regard. We kept the Civitas Inspire for Faculty product around quite a bit longer for faculty because it did give us a lot of unique insights into students that we didn't necessarily have. We didn't have the advisor information readily available. We didn't have a nice heat map available back then, of what student engagement looked like. So it really, really made sense for us as faculty members to keep Inspire for Faculty around for a little while longer. But with the transition out of Civitas Inspire for Faculty and into Signalz, we're looking at August 11th as being the date that the switch will be flipped, so to speak, when Civitas Inspire for Faculty will go away in our classrooms and we will see Signalz replace it. We also have, in addition to today, we have a lot of resources available for faculty to help them get used to this new tool. It's super intuitive. Even if we didn't provide any, you'd probably be okay. But we have lots of stuff to accompany, and help make that transition as smooth as possible. So I want to provide just a lot of thank yous to all the folks that made this possible today. I would be remiss if I didn't thank our pilot. We have some faculty that actually have Signalz turned on in their 7-7 classes right now, and they've been going through, finding minor bugs and reporting that back to the team so we can get those polished out before we do the full implementation. So thank you to those folks for using it and for providing that feedback to make it better for everybody. A big thank you just to Doctors Alan Belcher and Maya Zelik for their feedback. They were very instrumental in their feedback in kind of shaping this new tool. And Zovio has just been fantastic to work with. When we knew that we were transitioning away from Civitas and that they were providing this new tool, they worked very, very diligently to make sure that there wouldn't be a gap between products. And they worked very closely on even creating the infographic and quick start guide and some of the resources you're going to see in addition to creating the tool. So just a huge thank you to everybody who has made this possible. and getting all those pieces to come together. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and jump into the product just a little bit and give you a quick overview of what that's going to look like. So much like Civitas Inspire for Faculty, you will see Signalz living nested in the left navigation of your classroom. What happens when you click there is actually you'll see another tab open, much like we did with IFF. And something to note of importance is, especially with this first transition, this first iteration, I should say, of Signalz, associate faculty members will be required to log into their Office 365 accounts to make that connection over to Signalz. For a lot of our associate faculty members, that's probably not going to be that big of an issue. You can just kind of be logged in. That's the only account you probably have. But our full-time faculty members will have to be aware that with our ashford.edu accounts, you have to make sure that you're using your @faculty account to log into Signalz to access that. And I will note too, something I want to mention early on is, one of the big wins that I see in this Signalz product is the fact that we have such a close relationship with Zovio, and they're already working on making that sign-in process easier. We already have so much feedback from our pilot group that they're already feeding into Zovio to where they can keep making this better and better. So this is hopefully just going to be a little bit of a temporary, sign-in thing that will happen as the tool continues to progress. But that is just a huge win of the tool, is it's going to continue to grow. Your feedback will continue to be incorporated into it. So that's really, really exciting. Once we log into our Signalz dashboard, there are a lot of things here going on. A lot of it probably looks a little bit familiar based on what we've seen in Civitas Inspire for Faculty. A lot of the general theory is the same. You can see there at the top, you can see the list of the course information that you're looking at. One of the great things to note, and one of the things that makes me super excited, is the fact that we have the refresh date there on the dashboard as well, but that data refreshes every day. That the updates that were a little less frequent with Civitas Inspire for Faculty, I know were a pain point. So I'm really, really looking forward to be able to have those data points refreshed as frequently as possible. So daily is a really, really great refresh rate. We're really very happy to be able to get that refreshed as soon as possible, so you're not missing anything. If a student just got caught up, you're not going to reach out to them and not be able to see that. So that's exciting. And then you can see, I'll skip to 4 real quick because I think we can talk a lot about the dashboard in and of itself. But for those that are just getting started, we were really happy with IFF to have a lot of resources available for faculty. And you can see a link there up by the number 4 where it links out to faculty resources, where we'll have a quick start guide available. We'll have a video walkthrough available. A lot of the links that were available in the IFF intervention library, links to tutoring and Grammarly and things like that, those will be right available through that link as well. It also has some legacy things from the IFF library, like some subject tutoring information. Well, like I mentioned before, maybe most importantly is the option to report any issues that you see in the product. If something isn't working quite right, there's links to report that directly to our partners at Zovio. And then there's also links to submit feedback. Once you get in there and you start using the tool, whatever feedback you have, we really, really want to hear it, in order to make this product as awesome as possible. So we'll look a little bit down at the dashboard here at the bottom. You can see kind of just working from left to right. There's an option on the far left to where you can select all easily. You can select multiple students, and then the envelope clearly opens, an email tool, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It lists the student ID and student name right there. The engagement level, we'll talk a little bit about the data behind that. We could talk a lot longer about the data behind it, but I'll just give the Reader's Digest version of that. But that's essentially the level of engagement based on this data model that we're using, predicting a student's success in your course. And then also to the right of that, you can see the change over since the last refresh, if their engagement has gone up or down. And then one of the great things too about this tool is there's the option to really drill down into details if you want. If you hover over any of those, you can see more details about how much changed, what did it change to. And then one of the, I keep mentioning the wins of this product, but down on the far right, you see what there's a column titled Factor. And with the model that we had previously, you know, we always had a good indicator of, okay, a student is green, a student is red, a student is yellow, but we didn't have a great sense of why always. And one of the fantastic things about Signalz is that it is super transparent in why exactly that engagement level is what it is. So you can see different factors that go into why that engagement level changed, which is kind of a game changer, honestly, for this platform for us as faculty members. So we can really drill down into the exact purpose. Which I'm really excited about, and I think a lot of folks, a lot of the pilot faculty members too have just mentioned already. They noticed the data just seems much more meaningful, which I want to. And I did want to mention too, if there are multiple courses going on at one time, you can go to a dashboard where you can access multiple courses, whatever course you are in, and you click into it will default to that course in particular. But if you have multiple courses going on, there is a dashboard available. You can kind of go back and forth. So I apologize if I use multiple car analogies today. I've had car issues the last couple of weeks I've been working through, so I keep finding these analogies kind of coming out. But like I said, Signalz is super transparent in what it offers as to what is the factors that are going on going into those engagement levels for students. And they were able to actually refine. I had mentioned a little bit about how I had used some of these data models in the advisor tool that they had created to predict student success. They worked through actually a few iterations of that data model where it got better and better. I think we're on like the third one that we're using actually in Signalz, but it takes into consideration things like course grades, things like attendance, things like late and missing assignment rates, the courses they've passed, the courses remaining to degree completion, their GPA, a bunch of other factors, you know, both within the classroom and kind of outside of the classroom, using the student information system that we have to also bring some of those demographics in. And I think, you know, two of the things that I like most and I find most promising about this data model is it's built specifically for our students. You know, with IFF, we were kind of working with this data model that worked for most students. I mean, it made sense in a general scheme, of course, but this is just so much more tailored to our students and our classrooms and what our experience is like. I feel great about that. And then at the same time, IFF actually didn't used to take into account previous student data. Every student got kind of a clean slate at the beginning of a class, and then it had to build the data based on what happened. And Signalz will take into account a lot of these factors that you know, happen before class. So by the time that first data actually loads in your class, you're going to have super meaningful data right off the bat, which usually took, you know, a couple of weeks to actually build in the old models. So we're really excited to be able to incorporate some of those specific things with this new data model. You'll be able to see it right on the second day of your course. It should be there very early. Like I mentioned before, that data refresh happens daily, which is another huge win. You can always drill down into more details if you like with some of the hover over options. Once you're in there and kind of clicking around, you'll see some more of those, which are really cool. So I want to talk a little bit about the email tool that is offered. Much like the one in IFF, we have the ability to email either one or multiple students or your whole class within just a few clicks. And once you open that, you will see number one, at the very top, you'll be able to actually utilize some templates that we've created. So back when we launched Inspire for Faculty, we created a whole library of nudges, essentially, that faculty were encouraged to use as a starting point. And with what we've transitioned to with this new Signalz product is we kind of pared down that library. That library had like 5 different options for each one, and it was a lot to take in, but faculty really used it, which I thought was great. They took advantage of it quite a bit. So we were able to build that right in there to where you can actually click that drop down at the top, and you will see a bunch of email templates that have been crafted kind of based on that library of nudges that we had previously. But also ones that align specifically with the factors that you will see in the dashboard. So you can see, okay, somebody, you know, is missing a lot of assignments. I can easily send them one, you know, either to get caught up on missing assignments or a plan for catching up on missing work, or, oh, their attendance is low. Okay, here's a template for low attendance. We really tried to tailor those to match up with the factors we see there. And at the same time, we also see this as just a starting point. Honestly, we have, I think, 17 in there. It's a great start. But I think we're looking more at potentially down the road with this product. What if you could tailor your own library? What if you could share a library with different people in your program? The sky's the limit with the feedback that we want to provide to help build this tool out. So this is the starting point with templates, but I think it's a good one to at least give people some ideas to start with. Much like Inspire for Faculty, we have the ability to copy yourself on the email. If you want to make sure that you get a copy of it in your email account, you can click that box. And then also including advisors on email, you have the option to easily do that with one click to include that on communication when you deem necessary. And then it's a pretty standard email tool. Otherwise, you can see a subject line, which I normally wouldn't point out that much, but there were a lot of folks in IFF that didn't always include a subject for nudges. So I just wanted to make sure that the subject line is noticeable there, that folks are filling that in accordingly. The templates actually have suggested ones. You can always edit if you'd like. But then down at the very bottom, you can see just a kind of a general text editor that we you can utilize to either craft your own message or tailor the template, anything like that. So that's what that looks like. Much like Inspire for Faculty as well, we have access to some unique demographics that we don't necessarily have access to in other areas, or that we do have access to in other areas, but it's just really handy to have all of those things in one place. You can see some things like the students program. We didn't readily have that available until the last couple of months, honestly, with the course enrollment report and through Inspire for Faculty, but we have a couple different places it's available now. You can see their engagement level, whether it's gone up or down, their email address. You can actually see their phone number if you're a faculty member who really likes establishing contact via phone. Definitely I would absolutely suggest getting consent from the student before making that outreach, but that's also really, really nice to have. You can see the factors going into their engagement level, and then also their academic advisor. You have the information right there readily available for their academic advisor. And we kind of, I just want to talk just briefly about, the transition that we've made, and the progress I feel like we've made in, the last 2 years, moving from Inspire for Faculty. When we kind of adopted it, we were kind of thinking it was going to be this silver bullet. It was going to solve all of our problems. And it was a very, very unique insight into what we had. We didn't have anything like it. But since then, things have kind of kept adapting and evolving like they do. We saw earlier this year, we rolled out Canvas New Analytics, which gives some really, really good insights into when students are logging in, some good outreach tools via the Canvas inbox, kind of a tool along those lines. So we saw that. We increased the course enrollment report that went out recently. So we're also, looking at other ways that we can, kind of beef up this toolbox. Signalz is going to be, like IFF was, one of many tools in your toolbox, and it has a specific role and it has a specific time and place, and you'll figure out when it is, but it's also one of many. We don't want to encourage it to be the only tool you're reaching out through. I love to use the Message Students Who functionality in Canvas. That's a great one to catch students who haven't submitted an assignment yet. There's just lots of different ones available, and I do want to, we'll take some time at the end to do some questions. I haven't been doing a good job of keeping up in chat, but I want to give some time to our special guest speaker today, Dan Tignano, to talk about, some of the ways that he's transitioning over to this new tool, what he thinks about Signalz so far. And we've just been kind of talking back and forth. We're kind of hoping to get some of, these, support our students is the working title, of an initiative, but kind of working on like getting all those tools in one toolbox in one place where we can really, have some kind of a bundled PD opportunity for faculty. We're in the early stages of talking through that. We're kind of figuring that out with Dr. Teresa Kurik as well. So we're figuring that out. But before I take up any more time, I want to turn things over to Dan, who's been one of our gracious pilot members, and he's going to share some of what he thinks so far, and just some of the strategies that he's used in general and how to transition over. So I will stop sharing and turn things over to Dan.
Thanks, Cole. For those of you who I have met and know, it's good to see you. And for those that I haven't met before, nice to meet you. I've been with Ashford since 2013 in a full-time faculty position. I'm a pretty well-known technology enthusiast. So I was really glad to have the opportunity to get my hands on Signalz a little bit before the rest of you will. I think I come to this from the perspective of Civitas IFF as someone who has at one time or another, and I don't think this is unique to me, been an enthusiastic regular user, been not using it at all, and been kind of a hit or miss user. So I've seen it from all of those perspectives, and pretty recently I was making very good use of it, and have really taken a very similar approach to my initial work with Signalz. Now in the third week of the class that I'm using it in, which is a section of Speech 103 with, started out with 30 students, and I think we're down to about 25 at this point. I think my advice to everyone would be to make this a regular part of your workflow. And if you are a IFF user from before, it will be an adaptation to something that looks different and works a little different. And if you haven't been using IFF and you want to use Signalz as a new user, you won't be burdened is maybe the wrong word, but you won't have any preconceptions or inclinations based on the way that IFF was set up. So you might be coming in with a fresh perspective that I think would maybe make it a little bit easier of a transition, but I don't think it's a big difference. What I tend to do is almost every day I take a look at it. And one tip I can give you, by the way, if you're one of the people who has multiple Office 365 logins, as I do, and you don't want to have to log out and log in, you can open Signalz in an incognito window in Chrome at least, and you can log in, and it doesn't log you out of whatever else you're logged into in the not incognito, I guess, Chrome window. So I tend to take a look every day just to track changes, but I do a deep dive once a week, and for me typically that's on Monday at the end of the course week. And I tend to have about a half. I try to message everyone in the class, and about half of that message is going to be the same for everyone, and it's really that common content is going to be the like the look at the week ahead and advice about the week ahead. And then beyond that, I divide the class into three groups: people who are really doing well, they're engaged in the class, I have no concerns about them being behind in their work, and I basically take a very congratulatory tone with a mild note of caution, like keep it up. You don't want to fall behind. You're doing great, but keep it up until we reach the finish line. Then I have a group that is the ones who are missing assignments, who are not logging in as much, and they're the ones that I try to write a longer message to, really encouraging and trying to motivate them as best I can. And then there's a group in the middle between the two who are doing okay, but would definitely benefit from stepping it up a little bit more and trying to sort of turn it up a number or two on their dial in terms of the motivation and effort that they're putting in. And with them, I take a tone that's a little bit maybe half congratulatory and half concerned that they might want to be very careful to keep that level up or even increase it a little bit. And then because I want to have easy access to this, I use this app, by the way, and I work on a Mac, so all the apps I use are Mac apps. I found a free app in the Mac App Store called Email Snippets, and it's intended for use in an email program, but it really works anywhere. So if you're interested in checking it out, it's called Email Snippets, and I organize by class, and you can put folders. You can organize your snippets by folders. So for this class, Speech 103, I have a Speech 103 Nudges folder set up, and then I have a week 1 high, week 1 medium, a week 1 low. Maybe the pejorative terms, but that's what works for me. That's based on the engagement indicators. although there are other things I look at when I decide which message to send to which student. And then I can very quickly go in on Monday. If I need to fine tune for a student for anything that I know is going on with that student, I can, but probably the majority of students I can use that previously prepared draft pretty much as is. So I use that tool to speed it along for me. And if you're working on Windows or even on a Chromebook or something like that, there are other tools that do very similar things that you can use. Eventually, maybe the nudges that are built into Signalz might be course specific for some of the really larger courses. Speech 103 is up there, but it's definitely not one of our largest courses. And for those who are teaching courses that wouldn't be in that category, use a tool like that to create your own sort of personal nudge data bank. So I'm happy to take any questions about what I've experienced so far, if anyone has any. But my experience is pretty limited. I'm in my third week of using it. I like it. I see the potential there. I'm really happy that Cole and other people on this team are open to suggestions and feedback that I've shared with them. And by the way, Cole, you might want to follow up with me because we were chatting informally about the challenge of using IFF and now Signalz with very small directed study sections. And I think I might have had a flash of insight about that. So you can follow up with me at some point. But I think it's a great tool. I suggest making it part of your workflow. For me, it makes sense on Monday to do that. I think that's a good day, but maybe you can figure out a way to make it work another way, or maybe a twice a week contact. But the more you make it a habit, the more value you'll get out of it as an instructor, the more value our students will get out of it as students, and the more value we'll all get out of it as a tool that's been put together for us. And I hope you're all kind of chomping at the bit to get access to it in a couple weeks.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that, Dan. I appreciate it. Especially, I know it's really, really nice to, I just feel really, really nice about the transition from Signalz, to Signalz from IFF. I feel really, really good about that. And I appreciate your insight and all the other faculty that we've had along on board. It'll help inform, the training that we create and finalize. We'll be able to identify, pain points and high points and everything else, and be ready to get more resources out to you. So I see that Morgan has done a great job of keeping up with a lot of the questions we had in chat, but I'd be open to any other Q&A, or if there are any other faculty members on the pilot group that would like to share. Morgan, I know that I might have potentially missed something, as well that you wanted to highlight. We have plenty of time available for Q&A. So Laura, yeah, I did want to address, it looks like we were talking a little bit about the timeline for the transition. And we were kind of hoping, when we were initially knowing we were going to transition, we were hoping that we could do it to where you would finish out a class with one, and then your next class you would start anew with a new tool. But with the way that the timeline ended up working out, it just made more sense to kind of do a clean flip of the switch on a date. So there will be some classes that will be in session that will switch from one to another. So, Gabe, I see your question too about tracking the effects of Signalz, and I think that honestly, just from all the close work that I did with IFF, I think that we did, an area of opportunity is being able to really, really watch closely, the success that we see with it. I think that we can do a better job of kind of tracking that this go around for sure. So I'm interested in, we're already looking at what a new dashboard can look like, looking at some of the Signalz data. So I would love to see, coupled with that, some of the course success things, so we can see if it lines up. And if it does, be able to see that, quickly and easily. I would love to be able to have a little bit more insight into that than I think we did with some of the IFF as well. Reynaldo, it looks like right now, so when contacting an advisor, it does have to be copying them and addressing directly to the student. But what you do have access to is the email address for the advisor. So if you click on the student's name, you can actually see their advisor's email address. So you can go in and grab it there, and you can do it. It's another step, I realize, but there is the ability to do that with what we have access to. And then yes, I do wanna mention some other resources that we'll have available as we get closer and closer to launch. We have a quick start guide already available that we can link out to here. We'll have a video walkthrough that we'll have available. We'll have this, and then we'll have those resources available, and then also the option to submit feedback or report issues as well pretty easily. So we will have more training on that. Also, I would love to see more and more opportunities, especially regarding how to write nudges and being effective in that. I know that Get Centered session coming up is going to focus on that. So that would be a great one to attend in that regards, because yeah, we're kind of just getting started with the functionality, getting to know that. But the how, how to write it is a whole nother beast. So I think more to come on that for sure, and especially that centered session would be a good one to see. Oh, thank you for sharing the link to the quick start guide. The video walkthrough is not yet available. That's still being finalized as we speak, kind of based on the faculty feedback that we're getting from the pilot as well. I think that took care of most everything that I saw there. I think, okay, nope, we're going to address that one from Esther as well. Email address appear to come from the instructor. Yes, Holly, from my understanding, the email should appear like it comes from the instructor, yes. And actually, we did have a little bit of an update too. I think we will have some more visibility in this platform than we did with IFF. We actually just discovered this last week. We will have a little bit more visibility into like an open rate from students. So I would really, really like to see some, type of research done into like, okay, what makes a student open one of these things? Like, what is it that does it? What subject line really, clicks with students? So we'll have insight to that, which we didn't have before, which I'm really excited about. I think could be a cool tool to see. Oh yes, Gabe, I like that about the nicknames and the legal names. Yes, so Signalz will, like IFF has currently, it will have like an auto, kind of like a mail merge tool where it will fill in the student's first name automatically, but it doesn't always catch what their preferred name is. If they have a nickname or if they go by something else other than what's displayed in the class, it won't catch that. So that is a really good point. In general, I would love to see a better system like in Canvas for us to be able to address that. With the way that works with our integration with the SIS. I know that's kind of an issue. But yeah, I would love to see something. But yeah, with this first iteration, it will just be their, whatever their first name appears to be in Canvas. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you have a student who prefers something else, maybe you can type that in manually. It's an extra step, but I always keep my Post-it note handy with my students' preferred names next to my computer for that reason. So yeah, we'll have the slides available to everybody later on as well, and a recording for those that weren't able to attend live. But I really appreciate. I can sense the energy and the excitement, and I'm really excited to get this tool out there and get it in your hands, and then continue to see it grow. Continue to see your feedback shape it. I think is one of the things that I'm most excited about. So thank you so much for everybody for attending tonight. Please make sure to record your attendance. And we will see you at the next session next month. Thanks again to Dan for joining us and sharing his experience with us so far.